Hey, this is Dr. Simon Whitaker, your relationship and sexual integrity coach. And we're talking about sexual integrity. In particular, we're talking about what is sexual integrity. So we're asking the question, what is sexual integrity? And as a reference, we're using Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So sexual integrity is what God defines as sex between a husband and wife. But, it goes even beyond that. So when we talk about sexual integrity, of course, I talk about in the context of the way the Bible describes it, the way God describes it. So it's sexual relations between a husband and wife, but it's not just that, it's knowing your spouse. In the Old Testament, it says that Adam knew his wife Eve. And know is more than sexual intimacy. Knowing has to do with understanding that person. It means knowing about their fears, their dreams, their challenges, what makes them tick, what brings them joy, what stirs up fear. And in knowing that person, then you develop an entree into this area called, sexual intimacy. Because without the intimacy, it's just a physical act. But God really ordains it to be more than that. And the idea is that it really should bring the husband and wife together. So sexual integrity has to do with the concept of a husband and wife sharing and knowing each other intimately, and then the sexual expression being a part of that and a part of that covenant. And for those that aren't married, then what it means freedom from that, and getting a chance to focus on all that God has called you to be as a single person, the things that you're called to do as a single person, the activities you're called to engage in, like maybe overseas travel or missionary work for a year or 2 years or 3 years, which is not the kind of thing that you'd do if you were married, and pursuing dreams that are personally important to you, which may be completing a college degree or completing a graduate degree before you get married, because even things like that become more stressful. So sexual integrity involves sexual intimacy as God defines it between a husband and a wife, and that means two people who are actually prepared to be married, because just getting married doesn't fix problems. And sometimes people think that, well, if I get married, then, I'll have this constant supply of sexual intimacy, or bedroom time, as I sometimes called it. And that's a fallacy. That's not the reality. The other thing is that does not solve problems. So sex does not solve problems. If anything, when it's between two people who aren't married, and even then ready for it, it creates more problems. So it is not a problem solver. It's not a Band-Aid. If there are problems in the relationship, sex is not going to solve them. At most, it may serve as a Band-Aid to cover up some of the symptoms until the issues that are underlying those symptoms become even greater, and then even the Band-Aid won't work. So sexual integrity is integrity within the sexual confines of the marriage, because the marriage has some bedroom time, hopefully, but most of the things that occur between the couple don't occur there, right? You spend a lot of time at work. If you have children, you spend time with them. You might spend time on your individual personal hobbies. And then at night when you're about to crash, right, at the end of a long, long day, you might have some time for the two of you before you doze off to sleep. But it's the environment and the interaction prior to that that determines that. So sexual integrity is being honest with yourself and your spouse about what's going on with you. It's about not using it as a tool of manipulation. In other words, if you do such and such for me, then this sex will happen. So it's really about sharing, it's really about giving, and it's about being honest and sincere in the process. It's about really getting a chance to know your spouse, to know what's important to them, what makes them happy and fearful and all of that. So sexual integrity it's pretty big, and it's encompassing. It's not just the act of sex. If you pull the act of sex out of sexual integrity, keep in mind, that base of integrity still needs to be there. And when the integrity is there and you have sexual integrity, then what happens is it allows you to have a flourishing, full relationship as God designed for husbands and wives. Hey, I'm Dr. Simon Whitaker, your relationship and sexual integrity coach, and I'll see you here next time.